a challenge to do a panel on the last day, the last panel, before lunch. Probably a great keynote, and then you guys probably going to go have some fun this afternoon or get on a plane and go home. So we realized that after a day and a half of sitting through a lot of sessions, they might start to sound alike, and we may cover a lot of things that have already been covered in other panels and other speakers. So if we really want to get through this and have the most productive session possible, it'll be for you guys to ask questions. Right? And every moderator always says, please interact and ask questions. But seriously, we're going to put a bunch of stops in. I'll try to make sure you guys can ask some questions. It's such a small group. I think everyone in here probably works for a company that's doing oversight. So everyone's intimately knowledgeable, I think, on intermediary oversight and analytics probably. So we hope we'll share some secrets and some ideas from the esteemed panelists. But really, it's your questions to drive the session. So I want to thank Whitfield and Mike and Renee. They did all the work, as you can tell. I did nothing to prepare for this other than have these guys coach me on what the topic is. So
you brought your golf clubs, though.
I did bring my golf clubs. Used them very poorly, but I brought them nonetheless. I thought that there's guidance coming out, right? So as we were preparing over the last month for this session, the SEC and FINRA have come out with some more guidance. There's more information about what the expectations are for oversight, and while we may not be happy with that, with their guidance, or we may not feel that the guidance is thorough enough, it's a start. And so as we started thinking about the way we wanted to approach the session, it was really taking the recent guidance plus what these guys have been doing for years and put it together in what Whitfield will go through and explain the core components of an oversight program that's driven by analytics. I thought maybe one of the things that I could share with you from a moderator standpoint that might be useful is the experience of an independent director. So I'm an independent fund director for the Blackstone funds. And I've been on their board since the inception of their 40 Act funds. And I can tell you that from a director standpoint, you hear that directors are interested, involved to different levels with intermediary oversight. I can tell you that our board is, I don't think I'd use the legal term actively involved in oversight, but we are eagerly involved in knowing what's going on with oversight, and very involved in setting the key questions that drive the Blackstone folks to put together the analytics to help us understand if we believe we need to ask more questions or if there's a problem. When we first started developing an oversight program, the Blackstone, my fellow board members didn't have the experience in the industry and hadn't been involved with oversight the way I'd been. And they were just flabbergasted as the fund company started talking about their experience of trying to get transparency and trying to get information out of the intermediary partners. Because if you don't live in it every day, it sounds kind of weird that one of your partners that you're contracted with won't explain to you what services they're providing or what data you need isn't readily available. So I think that from an independent director standpoint, this is going to be a really big area this year. I think it's going to be a really big area for the next 5 years. And as we wanted to talk about an analytics-driven approach to oversight, there's many approaches, but one that might have more analytics at its core, I want you to keep in mind that the way that the analytics will be digested won't just be from power users or compliance or legal folks. It's going to be by boards of directors, many of whom have little or no understanding of the systems that are driving those analytics. So be mindful of the way the data can really answer key questions. And then one other thing I'll tell you from my experience at being on the mutual fund board, directors ask lots of questions on anything that's people-driven. They tend not to ask a lot of questions on stuff that's data-driven. So we get all kinds of compliance scorecards and reports, and we ask lots of questions up front about what those reports do and how they were set up. But a data-driven area like compliance for us, gets less scrutiny than the people-oriented one. It makes sense, right? So anytime somebody says, I went and did a site visit and I talked to these people and here's what I found out, we know how to ask a lot of questions about those kind of manual, people-driven processes. When it comes to the analytics, we really trust the firms are doing a good job setting up the right questions, and then the analytics themselves really make it easier for us to understand yes or no, green or red, were things covered. So I think the analytics approach is going to be helpful in a lot of areas where you need scale and you need to be able to let the board and other people at the company intuitively understand that the process is going on, and then fill it in with the people behind it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask Whitfield, Renee, and Mike to just quickly give you their background and why they're privileged enough to sit up here and talk about this topic. And then we're going to ask a couple questions, and then we'll open it up for you guys to see, you know, what's on your mind and what you might want to do. Fair enough? So everybody's going to interact? Can I get a yes? Yes. All right, that's your first test. So let's start with you, Whitfield. Just introduction on how you got involved in this topic, why you're up here speaking about it.
We got involved in this topic as Delta Data because our clients asked us to. I think 3 or 4 years ago, it was our clients were like, I think we can manage this, and the complexity increased and the scale of their program started to increase, and they said, all right, time to bring in somebody who can help us scale what we're already doing. So I don't think anything we're going to talk about today is something y'all haven't already done in your shop or are doing. We're going to talk more about our experience as a partner with our clients, bringing software to existing processes and using analytics to scale efficiently the programs and how to develop them.
And I got involved because of Whitfield, who called me as usual, and asked for a favor every now and then, and with American Funds. And we don't use Delta Data for this type of analytics, but Whitfield and I have lots of conversations about things we think are important to analyze. I've been with my compliance group for about 4 years, but our compliance department started a little over 15 years ago with 2 guys who went out doing a lot of assessments, and we thought that was a great thing to do as we tried to understand the business. And we've grown since then. We've always used those transparency files and data files, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But we've done some things with those files.